Hi guys, welcome back to Sister SLP's to Be. Today I'm talking about the application process and interview process of getting a job as an SLP. So the first thing I want to talk about is when to start applying, because I know that's something that everyone asks about, and you just need to know that it's on your own timeline, truly. There's no more deadlines. You make up your own deadlines at this point. Don't compare yourself to what everyone else is doing. Do your own thing. Like, I knew at one school someone said that most people had already gotten hired, and I knew at my school a lot of us, hardly anyone had a job yet. So it just depends on the people around you, but again, it's all up to you. I knew a lot of people were already applying before I even started, and I think part of that is because they were more pressured to get a job right after graduation. I wanted to still have my summer off, and I knew that schools would still be hiring towards the end of summer if I wanted to go into a school. I felt like I wasn't in a rush to get a job. I wanted to have some time off. So that's all up to you.
And when did you actually end up starting?
I started applying towards the last couple weeks of my externship. The reason for that is because I didn't want to start applying too early, but then again, I still wanted to be at my externship when I asked my supervisor, hey, can I use you as a reference?
Talk a little bit about your resume for us.
Okay. So for my resume, I put a lot of time into it. I know everyone has different preferences. I just had mine black and white, looked pretty basic. I know other people added color and made it creative, but everyone's different. I watched a Instagram live of someone talking about it and how to make your resume specific for acute care, and so that's a big part of it. Like, depending on what setting you're applying to, you want to make your resume tailored to that job. So I was going to make a resume specific for the medical setting, and then I was going to make a separate resume specific to working with pediatrics. I've heard people say that you should make a different resume every time. I wasn't going to do that. I just divided it up by settings. And so yeah, do research into what you should put onto your resume for that specific setting that you're applying to.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about the getting hired process. How long did it take you? How many interviews did you go through? How was the rejection?
Yeah, so I specifically wanted a job in the acute care setting, and I know just medical jobs in general as a CF are really hard to get. So I follow a lot of people on Instagram that are acute care SLPs, and I think that helped to motivate me. And sometimes they would have Instagram lives where they answered questions, or they would just make posts with tips and tricks. So my goal was to get an acute care job, and so I was giving myself towards the end of June to get an acute care job, and then if I didn't get one, then I was going to start broadening my horizons, like maybe applying to outpatients, private practices, even schools. And so I was applying everywhere. I know that they always say, like, apply to everywhere, like different states if you're willing to. I wasn't willing to apply to different states, but I was applying to different cities. I wanted to stay in my hometown, but I was starting to, increase that radius and apply to different towns. I applied to a lot of jobs, and I got a lot of rejections. So if you're going for a medical CF, be prepared for a lot of rejections. I'm really open to saying that I got 10 plus rejections. I stopped counting after 10. I didn't see the point in it, but I wasn't going to stop because I had a goal and I had a deadline. I said if I don't get it by the end of June, then I'll start applying to other places. So yeah, I took all those rejections. I was able to get 2 interviews for the medical setting, and they're around the same time. So the first one was like a phone interview, and they invited me to go have a one-on-one interview with the director of rehab, and so I met with him, and he said the next round of interviews would be a peer interview. At a different place that I got an interview for, they did the one-on-one director of rehab interview, and then right after they had the peer interview. So it was all in one, and they told me that they would let me know by the following week. So I heard back from the first place the day before I was supposed to hear back from the second place. So it was very close, and so I accepted the first place, and I told the second one, like, hey, sorry, I got hired somewhere else. I let them know. But yeah, I feel very lucky that I got that job. My main tip is, like, don't let the rejections get you down. Of course it is. The way I initially saw it was like, when I got my first couple, I said, okay, I know a lot of rejections are coming. So now that I got my first few, I feel one step closer to finding, like, the one. So that's just one way to look at it.
Yeah, that's great. Tell us a little bit too, like, you got a lot of rejection and a lot of it wasn't due to your skill level, right? It's just that you're a newbie. How did you know this after some of your rejections?
Yeah, so some of my classmates, they were placed in medical settings for their externship. They were told not to even bother applying because they just don't hire CFs. So I know that places, medical settings, don't want CFs. And I applied to these jobs regardless if they said they took CFs or not. And so that's why I got a lot of rejections, because they explicitly said no CFs, and I applied anyway. So some of those rejections kind of saw coming, but I did it anyway.
Yeah, and it's great practice too, like putting your foot out there.
Mm-hmm.
So can you tell us a little bit about what the interviews looked like? What did they ask you?
Yeah, so my interviews with the director of rehabs, they were mostly about my experience. None of them asked about, like, how would you do a bedside eval? And I think part of that is because the director of rehabs, most of the time, they're not going to be SLPs. They're usually PTs or OTs. So they don't know the technicalities as much when it comes to those kind of questions, but a lot of it is about my experience. And then the peer interviews, again, that wasn't about how do you do a bedside eval and can you name all 12 cranial nerves. It was like, what would you do in this situation? It was more to get a feel for my work ethic and personality and ability to handle certain situations. None of it was technical, but I know that some places do get technical, like walk me through a bedside eval, but I didn't have any of those kind of questions.
And both of your interviews were at medical settings?
Yes.
Awesome. So in case you missed it, Eileen did get a job. Yay! So Eileen, can you tell us a little bit about the job you landed before June?
Yeah, so like I said, my goal was to get a job in the acute care setting, and I did, and it's also, so I'm in the acute care and outpatient setting. So I'm mostly in outpatient, and then 2 days a week I'm in the acute care setting, which is, I think it's a pretty unique experience. I thought it sounded pretty cool. And as a CF, I was like, wow, I'm gonna get a lot of experience and I could find out which setting I like the most. And then if I wanted to move on and specialize in one area, I could. So like I said, I'm in the outpatient primarily. And so I work with mostly kids of all ages. And I also could work with adults. I do have 2 adult patients that I'm working with. So in the outpatient setting, you see literally everything. I'm working on artic with some, I'm working on cognition with adults. You see anything and everything in outpatient. And then in the acute care setting, it's, adults, evals, that kind of thing. So I like it. I get a variety. Every day is different. Like one day I'll be acute, next day I'll be outpatient. So I really like the inconsistency of it all. I'm not someone that really likes routine, so it works for me.
Awesome. And I've noticed you've been playing with something with your hands. Can you tell us a little bit about what you have there?
Oh yeah, so yeah, I just bought some fruit, like plastic fruit for the kids, just for my PDs in the outpatient. Thought it'd be fun for them.
Where did you get them from?
This is from the 99-cent store, and they have a lot of stuff. Like, this is like a basket of fruit and dishes, but they also had like play doctor sets and coffee maker stuff. So the 99-cent store has a lot of stuff for your pediatrics.
Awesome. So do you have any last minute tips for some future graduates?
Yeah, so if you want the medical setting, be prepared for rejection. That's expected. Don't give up. Maybe give yourself a deadline, like I want a job by this time. And if you don't get it, then that's when you could start applying to other places that were like your second choice.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing your experience. We look forward to hearing more about your time in acute and outpatient and your SLP journey.
Well, thank you guys for listening and following along on my journey. If you have any questions, go ahead and put it in the comments. I'll try my best to get to them. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye.